everyone. We are live on Facebook, and Melissa is with me today, Dr. Melissa Laborski. Yes, she's a doctor, she's an acupuncturist, and then we also have Barbara there. And we'll see if anyone else wants to join us. Today, Melissa is my co-host, and this is day 3 of our challenge, which is really unlocking the 3 keys to navigating your breast cancer journey. So we talked about a few things the last couple of days. We talked about the fight, flight, freeze response, which is the fear response that really happens, normal response when we are faced with a life-threatening disease such as breast cancer. And then we really dove deep into how to balance that response. So there's the sympathetic nervous system and parasympathetic nervous system. So there's a series of hormones that gets generated in the bloodstream that can affect your nervous system and also affect digestive system and your immune system. So everything gets flooded when we get stressed out. And so it's important to come back to a state of balance, homeostasis. And we looked at ways to do this: physical, emotional, mental, and spiritual. We covered, in terms of physicality, exercise, movement, breath. We talked about diet, the importance of food, and the importance of de-stressing, really having a practice. We talked about emotional rebalancing, which is really about having a way to manage emotions, means energy in motion, and not get stuck with that energy, especially into the heart center. And then we talked about the mind and how the mind is a poor master and a great servant. And that means that your mind is really there to be in the service of something much bigger and much greater. Now, the challenge is when we have a health issue, a life-threatening illness such as breast cancer, the mind can lock in and will into the worst case scenario. And that is normal. In the field of neuroscience, they talk about how a bad experience will stick like Velcro and a good experience will stick like Teflon. And it takes 5 good ones to overcome 1 bad one. So we have to have a practice that helps change what's happening in here. The mind can really create havoc onto the nervous, immune, digestive system, and overall the entire body. So that was day number 1, and we ended up with our contest that Melissa won. And the contest was about posting 1 life affirming practice that you have. So you can have life affirming practice and you can have life depleting practices. So being stuck in the fear response is depleting on many levels. And I forgot one more thing, which is the spiritual aspect and connecting to the energy that creates, I call it the energy that creates world, which really led us to day number 2. So we really yesterday dove into opening what's called the central channel, the part of your being that is much bigger and much greater than the physical limitation of your own body. So if you think of your skin and then expand 1 foot outside of that, you have an energy field that is connected. And some people can see, and sometimes we can actually take pictures of that energy field. And there are times where the energy field gets hooked back into the past. And that's what makes the energy centers, called the chakras, get depleted. There are 7 of them. And yesterday we practiced connecting to the earth, which is the root chakra, really connecting and grounding, and then moving up throughout the 7 of 1 and connecting to the universe, to the crown of our head. And then we landed in the heart. Why the heart? Because that is where spirit meets humanity. So we did a meditation yesterday that was really about sitting in the seat of the soul. The heart is called the seat of the soul, and just really receiving guidance from that place. So that was day number 2. And day number 3 today. So actually, let me just see if I can, talk about yesterday and today. So I don't think we had any winners in a contest, but Barbara is actually winning. from yesterday. She is, because she actually participated more than expected, really. She saved my behind. When it disappeared twice, and I'm being very honest, my doggy decided to run away and start barking and doing all this crazy stuff that dogs will do sometimes when you don't want them to do that. So here we are. Barb is winner number 2 of the contest. Yay. I know. So again, we have Melissa with me today, Dr. Melissa Laborsky. She's a doctor, she's an acupuncturist, and she has a Facebook group called Wellness Lies Within. Is that it, Melissa?
Yep.
Okay, great. And okay, so let's dive right into today. I am actually going to share my screen. Just give me a second so we can see all this cool stuff that I came up with. Hopefully it's cool. PowerPoint presentation. Here we go. Number 3. So today we're talking about do more of what makes you happy. We are talking about remission. And those principles, people often tell me that they apply to more than people dealing with breast cancer, but I'm focusing on breast cancer. Remission really is about remembering your mission. And I want to talk about this by telling you a little story. This was the review from yesterday. So there we go, day number 3. In fact, as I tell you the story, hold on a second, I'm actually gonna take this for a minute and stop sharing. So I told you on day number 1 that I had a number 1 and 2 rounds of breast cancer. And that after my first round, I really committed to reconnecting to what was important to me. I had literally spent about 6 years doing a business with my ex-husband, and not to anyone's fault, I took a back seat way back in the background of the office, to the point where people did not even know, and they were coming every day. This was mind body healing with yoga and dance and kids classes and everything. And I was at the front desk, and some people who were coming every single day for 6 months did not know that he and I were married together. They did not know that I was the owner or the co-owner of the business. This is how much I decided to hide and not be fully into my power. And I was coming from a job of having been the training director for a bank. I was actually the corporate training director for a bank for 6 years. And somehow in my mind, body, emotions, I felt unworthy. That's all I could say, unworthy. My sense of love and my sense of self-love was literally missing. And so I would sit at the desk every day, the front desk person, taking people and manage everything in the business, the marketing and the finance and the management of teachers and the schedule. We had 15 people working for us. And literally people thought I was the front desk person. So this is how low somebody can go. And I'm not being shy about saying this. And I got to a point where after 3 years of working 7 days a week without taking a vacation, I took one vacation the first year for 1 week. I got to a point where I got hit both by Lyme disease and Epstein-Barr. And the business wasn't making it. I was paying everyone before me, literally. No one, the business was basically 50-50. Everything was getting paid, but I wasn't getting paid. So now, mind you, I'm exhausted, I make no money, and I drain my savings. This is where we are. Now I consulted with a business consultant who, for a couple of months, tried to help us out until the day he looked at the finances and said, this is not working. This is not working. So in that moment, my ex-husband took a nosedive and literally got into a state of being that was not, he wasn't able to really be in the business. And I went into bottom line exhaustion. So I'm saying all this because it was a long journey on the way back up. And the journey back up was really about, I kept spending a tremendous amount of time walking by myself in the woods and asking myself, where have I gone? What has happened? And really, what brings life into me? Like what gets me excited? I had lost it. It's almost like I had layers piled up on top because I was so used to pleasing everyone and doing everything that needed to be done, and being the person who's, because I'm a hard worker, show up and does the work. And there was no more light in my heart and in my spirit. Nothing light lit me up. So I took a journey of months of like journaling every single day and asking myself, where is the energy? Where is the spark? What lights me up? So I signed up back then for a group coaching program with a woman, and it was a business coaching program. And I had no clue what I was up to. I did not know what I wanted, but I knew that I had been a coach. And in my entire life, this is the thing that really lit me up the most, because I really believed. I studied psychology, and somehow I had studied coaching and got certified as a coach because I really wanted to tap into people's potential. I did not want to focus on the disease aspect of mental health, but I really wanted to look at people and say, hey, I see the strength, I see the light, let's bring that forward and move you on. So I went back to coaching without knowing anything about how to market myself, because it had been at that point about 10 years where I had not gotten into that building a business for me kind of thing. And it was really climbing back up the mountain one step at a time, putting flyers out, defining who I wanted to work with, putting out some workshops. Sometimes they would work, sometimes they would not work. And really, I think the biggest thing for me was to have to overcome that sense of shame. I felt like I had failed the business. And here I was in this community where everybody knew me, putting out flyers, and everything that I was perceiving about myself was really up here. No one actually thought about me that way or saw me that way. I was the only one. So as I'm ramping up the business, right, I get into this place where in 1 week, I worked for 6 months putting out all this energy, putting stuff out. And all of a sudden in 1 week, I get 8 clients. And that same week, actually, no, the week after, I get diagnosed with my first round of breast cancer. So I did not give up. I was really committed. This is my life. This is what I want to do. This is my passion. And then, as I said, the first day, separation, divorce got me back in school just to get the credentials to be working with people, because I knew that working with trauma was really at the core of who I am. And the reason I'm saying this is because you can believe in people's potential, but I had noticed not only in myself, but other people, that sometimes trauma is like weight at the bottom of your legs. And it's like you have a rope with a big rock that keeps pulling you down. You want to go up and then you sink back down. So I wanted to get the skills to be able to address that. And I did. So that's today's topic. It's how do we know, based on our life experience, how do we know in our heart and soul what we're up to, right? So I want to get you into this frame of mind to let you engage into a process of knowing that even if you have breast cancer, and even if you're not feeling well, there is a part of you called your heart and soul that knows what you're up to in this lifetime. And that if you get into this place of knowing, there's an energy that gets generated, right? And that's what I am here for today. This is what I'm talking about. And that's why I have these 2 awesome women with me, Melissa and Barbara. I'm part again of a business group. The 2 of them are with me. That's why they're supporting me, where we really believe that we can rise up and shine our light, and we support one another. So not only am I speaking to the you knowing in your heart and soul what you're up to, but I'm also talking about the power of community. So is there anything you want to say, Melissa, about this as I'm chatting away?
I almost commented, but I'm like, I can comment in person. But when you were telling your story, it's so remarkable the words you're describing, right? Because you're talking about the energy of depleting yourself through the work. You're talking about the emotions of it. And that's what was happening on the inside in your body. So our lives are constantly mirroring what we're experiencing in here. So whether we're tuning in and allowing that to give us a reflection of how we're responding and experiencing, energetically, you could see the trajectory now that you're in your place where you can be the observer of it all, that it's like, hello, lady, that sitting in the back of the bus, giving all your energy away, never paying yourself, never taking a vacation. Like, how are you? Wait a minute. Yeah. So yeah, just it's beautiful. It's beautiful. And even remarkable to see that point of being diagnosed after you had stepped into your mission.
Wow,
Because
right?
that's sometimes sometimes the concept of the spiritual journey, people think like, oh yeah, it's like it's all
Yeah,
but when we choose to step into that life's purpose, a lot of times we get those big messages that are really meant, like you said, to step into the fire, to elevate us to that next level, to really get clear about what we need to do to take it to the next level, to
right.
recognize that we still have that anchor there. So yeah, just beautiful.
Thank you. Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you for reflecting that back in the fire. When you use fire, I had an analogy on the first day of like the diamonds gets to be very shiny under high pressure and high fire intensity, heat. So they rub really fast and they have this high heat, and that's how they become the shiniest diamonds. So that's why I believe that we're here for. And somehow in my journey, I had to rub really hard, and I get a lot of heat under my butt to really get going. So here we are. All right. I'm going to go in and just share my screen again because I want to talk about three things. So every moment is an opportunity to say yes to yourself in life. So when I talk about mission, I know for myself, for the longest time, so many years, it was like a mystery, like a big mystery. And that's not that I did not know. It's almost like I did not say yes to what I already knew. And so when we have an illness, when we don't feel well physically, you may be listening to me right now and saying, I'm not even near that level of energy that she's got. I'm not even near anything that she's talking about. And so when I'm talking to you, the reason I told you that journey and I told you that story about how I kind of climbed back up, and I said it took months for me to follow the thread. Every day, my walk in the woods would be about what lights me up, what gives me energy. I know what adrenal crash means. I have been there. When nothing supports you and you feel nothing, there's nothing exciting, there's nothing looking forward to. You just plow through your day and you just want to go to bed. So that was my reality for a while. And so saying yes to life is moment by moment, breath by breath. And so I want to talk about this today. I want to talk about daily um, acknowledgement of moments, life moments. And that's how we live our mission. It's not, doesn't have to be a big thing. It could be moment by moment, breath by breath, allowing yourself to be connected to who you are and share that with others. I scaled down my expectations after my first diagnosis of breast cancer. I know that I'm here to teach, and I know that I'm here to share a message. And I've been given a ton of opportunity to be trained. I have a truckload of knowledge. And yet I thought, okay, well, maybe the way I'm sharing this is in my daily encounters with people. If I can make a difference into one person in one day, that is it. I had dreams when I became a coach, grandiose dreams of talking to the masses and having a ton of people listening to me. I had this vision of having to share something meaningful. Now, after having had my first diagnosis, I thought, well, I'm on my way to recovery, so I'm just going to make this a daily occurrence, maybe one person at a time instead of a group and a mass of people. So I want to speak to that. Who you are and what you have to share can happen right now in this moment. Take a breath into this. You don't have to work more. You don't have to do more. You don't have to be more. Right now, right here, who you are is enough. So that's number one. We live our mission every moment, every breath we take. And number two is really embrace the virtue of the heart. And I'm going to go into this in a moment, but it's really about acknowledging that when you choose love, and I know it's been spoken in so many words and so many books, and it sounds kind of corny, but I'm not really making fun of it. Love is a feeling of unity. It's a feeling of looking at yourself and really knowing and remembering. Maybe sometimes you forget, because I do. Every single day I forget and I remember. It's remembering that you are whole. Nothing about you is broken. It's coming into the heart where there's no division. There's nothing wrong. There was never anything wrong about you and or other people. The mind is where the division happens. The mind judges, evaluates, takes scores, compares. And as soon as we're pitting ourselves against another person, we create that sense of separation. Now, in doing that, we do the same thing to ourselves. We compare. We get up in the morning, didn't sleep enough, didn't have enough time, don't look good enough. The not enough thing is really a mind concept, right? And then so having that sense of, I am okay the way I am right now, and I appreciate. So we're going to go back to the virtues of the heart in a minute. And then number 3 is really share your light, your gifts, your talents. It doesn't have to be a big thing like I just talked about. It's really about taking small steps, helping a person, anyone around you with something that you are gifted with, something that comes to you naturally. A talent is really what this is about. So hold on a second. Now this thing is not wanting to move. Here you are. Here we are. So there's something, so like you are the life, you are the conductor of your life. And I'm looking at the presentation right now and saying, I put a couple quotes there. So who are you and why are you here? That's a big question. And it's a question that is important to ask. When I talked about a practice yesterday, it's a practice that I do every single morning. After I'm done doing my meditation and the things that I do to remind myself of who I am, I ask myself that question. I go into my heart and I say, what matters the most to me? Especially when I'm confronted with challenging situations that get me frustrated, sad, separated from others, whatever. I just go back and I say, what is it that I really want to foster into my heart? If I look at that situation from a heart's perspective, that's how I remember who I am. And you can never be brave if you don't get hurt. So taking risks is part of expanding. And you'll never learn if you don't make mistakes, right? Taking risks, showing up, sharing your light and your gifts and talents sometimes makes you fall flat on your face. And at the same time, you can't learn if you don't do that. And then you never be successful if you don't encounter failure. That was a big one for me. I literally, when I started ramping up and putting these flyers outside, I had to take some deep breath. I was like, oh, I am a failure. Everybody knows I'm a failure. I'm going to put this on the wall and everybody's going to look at it and say, oh, she's the failure. Again, it was all in my head. And yet I was brave enough to take that flyer and stick it on the wall and say, may the best come for me. Maybe people will show up, maybe they won't, but at least I'm taking that step. And then the one on the right, don't let someone dim your light simply because it's shining. Whoops, hold on a second. I want to see if I can move this. I can't say. If it's shining brightly. So seeing yourself through the eyes of another person is really tricky. Our sense of love, if it all depends 100% another person, is meant to not happen. No one is perfect. We all have our moments, right? Do you ever look around and look at people that you love with love all the time? No. So the same thing happens for you as people look at you and make comments about you. So you are the conductor of your life. You really are the one who will decide how this is going to work. Oh, I know what's going on. Hold on. I figured it out. Hold on a second. Is because this thing is not, oops. Okay, here we are. It's not going into the thing. Here we go. Is it? Come on, go. Ah, here we are. Got it. Okay. So, hallelujah, technology. So number 1 is to really, okay, we are in remission. And I believe that we are all in remission. I hate to say it, but hey, do you know, if you listen to me right now and you don't have a breast cancer diagnosis, when your last day will be? You don't. So every day is a blessing. I get up in the morning and I say to myself, I'm up today. I have the energy. My body's okay. My mind is okay. I have a house. I slept a good night. I have places to go, people who love me. So that's every day is a blessing. So remembering your mission is really first and foremost to remember that you are alive, right? And you have a chance today to make a difference. So the morning routine, we talked about exercising on the first day and meditation on the second day, not just exercise, but stress management and kind of transforming the fear response. Now comes into play. Having a structure. It's important to have a structure. Why? Because the mind is really set into habits, right? So whatever your structure is, you sit down with yourself, you sit outside, you take a cup of tea, or whatever you do, you sit down quietly, you have a special place. And that's why I'm sitting in the direction today, because I have an altar. And that's my structure. I create every morning. I sit every morning and I take my cup of hot water and my cup of whatever that I drink, and I just put it on the side and I sit down and I carve out the time to have at least a half an hour, sometimes more, for meditation and resetting my brain. So focusing on breath and appreciating my body. That body scan we did yesterday, moving energy through my body, is part of it. And then gratitude, taking into my heart things that I'm grateful for and sending it out to the universe. And then setting an intention. Like I said, I'm processing in the morning some issues that I have, things that are sitting on my mind that I can't seem to let go of. And I ask for guidance through my heart. And then I focus on what matters, right? It's so easy to get pulled. Oh, there's this to do and that to do, and not enough of this, not enough of that. Let's go. And especially if you have other beings around you, pets, children, I'm sure they have their agenda for your time. And so if you spend that time with yourself, you actually you're back in a driver's seat and you can choose. Of course, the day will happen and life will happen. But if you have your anchor, you're grounding yourself into who you are, and you have your priorities, you decide where your focus is, you have more chances to keep steering your boat in the right direction, the direction you want it to go. And when people intervene and step in and have their moments and whatever, you may be swayed a little bit, but you always come back. So I'm going to pause here for a second, and I'm going to ask either whoever wants to give some feedback on this to go ahead and give some feedback. Do we have anyone on the chat today? Do we have anyone on the chat? Nope. Okay. So either Melissa, Barbara, or Nisreen, I know you're in the background. If you want to say something about what we just talked about. I'm not calling on anybody particularly, not putting anybody on the spot, but if you're so called to share, go for it.
I'm happy to share.
You.
You mentioned, yeah, life is life. It doesn't matter. I happen to be someone who's created a very full life. I have 4 kids. And so, yes, other people and their agendas, I can start off in my beautiful space, having done my Qigong, and then the circus comes in. But what you're saying is so powerful, not just because it feels better to be aligned in those moments, but because when I do give myself, and it doesn't have to be like 20 minutes, it can even just be a couple of seconds, that I'm really gifting myself that moment of, before I take action, I'm going to make sure I'm in my center. Then I have more clarity and I have more energy to connect in, and everything flows better.
Right.
Anyone out there, I mean, you've got life. What's going to happen is, if you're not in that anchored space, it's all going to get mirrored back to you, and you're going to get more chaos and craziness that's actually calling you to say, hey, wake up. So yes, so powerful. Thank you.
Thank you for saying this. So in a way, when you make that choice, Melissa, when you take that moment to center and pause, have a little bit of distance from who you are and whatever the situation is, that's when you shine your light. That's why when I talk about remember your mission, when you allow yourself to be in that center, to be grounded, to be heart-centered, to make choices that are not in reaction, that's it. I know that you do way more than that with all your kids and all your job and everything else. Not your job, but really your mission. And at the same time, in that moment, you are living your mission, right? Did you want to say something, Barb?
Yeah, go ahead, Barb.
Well, just that the teacher appears when the student is ready, right? So much of what you're saying is just such a great, with the remission reminders that, and that's part of the centering and just spending that time. We hear people tell us this all the time, but when you really look at how do you live your mission, it really is about remembering what is important and how to focus. I love when you talk about anchors and just letting it, bringing the light in.
Mhm.
We're so often, sending the light out. But what we're talking to, Melissa, what you were saying too, is if we don't have the light, if the light's not bright inside, how much light do we have to send out? This is
Right.
beautiful.
Thank you. And it's really, that's what it is. We can't give from an empty cup. I mean, we've learned it. And I know the both of you, because we've shared before about this, but we cannot live and give from an empty place. We have to refill. Fulfillment is really about refilling. So thank you both. Okay. Yes. Oh, hold on. Things do happen. And here we go. So I actually want to, so that's number one. You remember your mission by living in the moment. Now I want to go to number two, because I'm noticing that time is passing by. Here we go. I move things around and hopefully this will work. Okay. So let's go to number two. So basically, the heart's intention sets the tone, not only for your physical, emotional, mental health, but it also has, like I talked about yesterday, it sends out waves around you. So when we're balanced into our being, the heart, and this again, I'm referring back to the Heart Math Institute and the research they've done, has a frequency that can affect an entire room. So living your mission is not just action related, it's actually a state of being in addition to being a state of doing. So often I say to people, because I taught yoga for a long time, till COVID actually, that we are human being, not human doing, right? There's a word, there's a reason why we're human beings. It's called human being. And we are here, of course, to do things, not just sit there and be living on a mountain. We are doing both. But most often we live in a world that takes into account accomplishments, the doing. Do you have something to show for? And if you don't, your value goes down. And we embrace that perception. We start looking at ourselves like, okay, what do I have to show for? And if we don't measure up either to our expectations or expectations that we think that other people have, we come short on the balance sheet. So I'm using an accounting term. So setting up a heart intention and living from it, compassion, having kindness. When somebody is mad in front of you, if you have the presence to hold your heart space and not react, you're changing the world right there. And that goes for everything. It goes from people that are stressing out around you, and then you hold your ground, and then all of a sudden you have changed the situation. It goes for people who may be reacting to you and making you feel like not so good. And then you choose another venue, another way of being. You decide, okay, I'm not going to see myself through the eyes of this situation or this person. I'm going to go back to who I know I am. And that's powerful, because then your heart waves are coming into coherence. That's what we talked about yesterday. And then you impact not only your physical, emotional, mental body, but you also impact the environment around you. So being in remission, remember your mission is about being and choosing. That's hard to do. The qualities of the heart. It took me a long time to go back to this. And there's a meditation that I do every morning called Tonglen. It's a Buddhist meditation where you inhale and take in people's pain and send them light. And you can actually be the first person that you do this to. And that practice is so challenging. I'm going to tell you a quick story. Many years ago, I had a neighbor who hated, I had two dogs, who hated my dogs. And I mean, she was on a mission, calling the dog officer as soon as the dog would step one paw out of the perimeter of my yard. And it was so challenging. And the dog officer knew, and he would say to me, hey, I know it's not really you, it's happening over there, but can you please keep your dogs, blah, 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 So it was so stressful. As soon as I was like a hawk. I would keep watching to make sure that they stayed. And I had an electric fence, but sometimes they sort of busted through. So I practiced Tonglen meditation practice every single day for a long time. And long and behold, one day after we separated, my ex-husband and I, she crossed the line and came to see me. I was cleaning my yard because we didn't have a fence in between except for the electric fence. And she looked at me and she said, I am so sorry for what you're going through. I'm sorry that things are not working out. And I was blown away. And I did not hold grudges, even though I had years of her calling the dog officer and the police and all that on me. I decided to let it go in that moment. And that's the power of the heart. It's a commitment, not always easy, especially when somebody's spitting fire at you. To take that step back and really hold that compassion, kindness, and take somebody's hurt, because that's what I knew. She didn't look happy, this lady. And I knew that she wasn't happy. And I decided to just go expand wider and bigger, right? Not an easy thing to do, but that's part of my mission. It's not something that I'm doing and claiming I'm saying it today, but really, am I making money out of this one? I'm not. Do I have anything to account for? No, I don't, except that there was a sense of harmony a little bit more in my neighborhood than what it was before. Okay. So now I want to talk more specifically about living your mission. So taking the pulse daily, that's sitting with yourself, reassessing every morning, grounding yourself, choosing, being the conductor of your life, making choices. Can't do it all, ain't happening, right? It cannot happen all the time, every second of every day. So I call this recalibrating. So when you take the pulse daily, that means you check yourself in the morning. We're not always feeling good if physically or emotionally or mentally. So you go and do a scan. How am I doing physically? What do I need? Do I need to rest? Do I need to eat something specific? Do I need more exercise? Do I need to less exercise? And that's why I had this little kitty there. I wish we could see him. He's really cute. He's sleeping. Or do I need an emotional release? Do I need to speak with someone? Do I need to connect? So that's part of, shining your own light. You have to recalibrate. Where's your light? Is it on a low level or is it shining? If it's not quite shining, then replenish again. And then mentally, I forgot to write that one. Mentally is what's going on in your mind. Is it draining you? Is it empowering you? Sometimes I get up in the morning and I'm not empowered. I look at my day, I look at my life and I go, ugh. Again, it's going down instead of going up in my own assessment, and I choose to change that. And then the spiritual values, are you in the morning, when you get up in the morning, do you feel like, okay, I just can't pull one more thing out of that hat? Have to take a step back and spend more time just relaxing and being in myself without doing anything, right? So sometimes it's connecting to things that you read, people you see, people you know who have more light, teachers, other beings that you love. You just connect to them. Sometimes it's laughter. Like yesterday, I knew there's a friend that I have not seen in a while, and she moved to California, and it was her birthday. And I knew if I called her that I would laugh. And that's exactly what happened. For a good half hour, I had a good laugh. So that's kind of like recalibrating. I was tired, I was drained, and then all of a sudden I knew if I called her, I would have a laugh. So that's what you need to do for yourself. So today, what are your top 3 priorities? And not today as in just today, but that's what you do every morning. Remembering your mission is, again, coming back to yourself and say, how do I maintain my sense of self, balance, health, vitality? When you're in breast cancer remission, that goes up. You need to amp up the self-care, physical, emotional, mental sometimes, and there's no more energy for anything else. And that's what the priorities are until you feel like there's energy coming back, and then you can start doing and giving more than what you have. So life is happening now. So now I want to switch. So we went from remember your mission, your light is happening right now. Do what you need to foster and really support that light. And now how do you share this? Small ways, like I said. I'm just tempted to pause here again because I don't want to be talking all the time. So I'm going to stop sharing again and just ask again if Barbara and Melissa have something to say about anything we just talked about the creating time in the morning, but also like the recalibrating throughout the day and how important it is to come back to a sense of who you are in your heart. Is there anything that is sparking for you?
You're so amazing. Oh my God, I loved your Tonglen story.
Yeah.
So I have another way that I'll talk about that, like the emotional alchemy of what
Yeah.
is possible with our heart. When we can bring anything into heart space and transform it into divine love, because everything is divine love.
Right.
And you just, in such an anchored, beautiful way, were able to share the power of that practice
Yeah.
for you. And I think that's something that's really important, especially, I mean, for all of us on our journey where most of us are giving out too much energy. And for someone who has a breast cancer diagnosis, and I love the way you worded that too, until you feel that your level of energy has leveled up to a certain place, you can't be giving out. But even that, there's so much power in that practice where you were holding the space of compassion, which was so healthy and beneficial for you. And then eventually it actually transformed the outcome of the experience. So it's like, that's the mission. It's the mission to live in that space. And so,
Right.
yes, yeah, so healing at every level.
Thank
And
you.
I use words to describe that to people, but I love the way you told the story. It was just so clear. Like, yeah, this is real. It works.
It works. Exactly.
The other thing I loved is, really having grace and ease each day and being able to hold the biggest picture of what is it that I really need. And I've been stepping into a higher level of that with myself, because some days it's like, I need like 2 hours of Qigong by myself, right? And some days it's like, I want to sit on the couch and do nothing.
Right.
And it's funny because I don't often allow myself that do nothing place. And my kids will circle around like, you okay? Like, and just sit here. And then they're so cute because they get it, I mean, they're so innocent and pure. They're like, oh my God, you deserve it. Finally, you're sitting there. Like, so yeah, so I love the way you laid that out. And that's so important. Such a powerful message. There's no right way to do this.
That's it. Thank you for saying this, because that's it. So like, remember your mission. It's the mission is not, I mean, I know I am going back to this because I said it already, but for me, it was like that big thing. Like I had to manifest an empire. And then all of a sudden, sort of breast cancer brought me back to that place. First of all, the heart center, the heart chakra, and in the self-care and the self-love and the self-compassion, the self-kindness, the self-appreciation. This is what we're talking about. It's kind of like, if I wasn't giving that, because that's what happened. This is the history of the trauma history that I bring in. My parents were not having it. I was a foster kid, and I'm saying this up front without crying, really, honestly. It's not like I'm laughing about it either, but it really, like, it was like, okay, you and your brother too much. Let's go. We're going to ship you out. So the message that you internalize when you have that kind of experience is a message of, I am not worthy of anything. I am less than. I have to work really hard to have value, to be appreciated. And that was my whole life. It was just like I was working triple time. Let me work harder. Let me do more to have a glimpse of appreciation. And even if it came, I wasn't taking it in. So I really do believe that, the health, when I talk about a health breakdown as a life breakthrough, that is it for me. It wasn't just the self-love and the self-appreciation on a personal level, but it was really about also like, who are you being on this planet, who are you here and what are you here to share? So that's what I want to talk about now, because it's so important to give yourself a chance. Like when I thought about it this morning, I was in my shower and I thought, the people that are here are supposed to be here. And then when I do these, events and these recordings, and I think, oh, well, I guess it's another flop, that's where I was yesterday, honestly. And I thought, wait a minute, Chantal, you know that you're a teacher and you never know where this is going to go. And you just keep doing it because you enjoy doing it. And that's what I'm doing it for, because I know that I was given a gift, and the gift of gab. And the gift of teaching. It's my thing. I know this. So I don't need to have this be like this big thing on the planet. I'm just saying it today. And that's why I'm saying this. The reason I'm being so transparent with you, whoever you're listening, Barbara and Melissa are listening and Nisreen is here, and maybe other people will listen, but that's what I want to say. It doesn't have to be a huge thing. Enjoy. Whatever that is, enjoy. I have people that are singers that sing. I have a neighbor who's a singer, and she sings by herself every single day outside with her guitar. No one's listening. She's doing it for herself. I hear her. I appreciate it. She changes my moods when I hear her. And once in a while, she'll do a concert for other people. But really, it's not like, the Empire, the stadium of any place, really. It's her doing her thing because she enjoys it. And so, however you need to sing your song is really what I'm talking about here. Okay, so let's see if I can get this little cute thing running here. Still working it out. Okay, share the screen. There we go. Let's see. Okay, we got this. It's kind of funny to click through all these. To click through all this. So, how do you share your life? Share your gifts and talents. And what do you love to do? It's such an important question. What do you love to do? What brings you joy? What brings me joy is to be outside. There used to be a time where literally people would say, how do you exercise every day? How do you do this and going outside? And I started inviting people to come along with me. You find it hard to go for a walk? Come along. I go every day. So it didn't have to be a big project again. It was more like, okay, I'm offering my time, and not always with people. Sometimes I like to walk by myself, but I really have trained people to do things. And when I say trained, the nervous system loves habits, right? So if you do more of what you love, you're creating that groove again in your neurobiology. It's the field of neuroscience. It's like the bad stuff can create a groove. Well, guess what? The good stuff can create a groove. Living your mission doesn't have to be, it's like starting a journey. They say that the journey of 1,000 miles begins with one step. That is it. You love to move. You love to paint. You love to sing. You love to teach. It doesn't have to be to an entire classroom. It could be to one person. You love mechanics, like my significant other, not kidding, loves cars. I have never seen somebody loving cars so much. He spends hours researching parts, and then he'll talk to me about it. And then I'm totally not mechanically oriented, but I see how passionate he is about it. And I think he came into this lifetime with this already. Like he fosters something that is already living in him. And I take pleasure out of listening, even though I don't understand anything about the parts and all that. I get the joy. I get the joy that he gets. I drive and I thrive on vicariously the energy that gets generated, because he does more of that. Is he a mechanic? No, he's not. He does that on the side. That's his thing. So I have a quote here from Maya Angelou that says, "My mission in life is not merely to survive, but to thrive. And to do so with some passion, some compassion, some humor, and some style." Now we know Maya Angelou was a pretty amazing author and writer, and that's it. It's like, passion, wherever your passion is, that's your mission. Share that with others, even if it's only one person. Now, let's see what we're doing here. Okay, so what do you love to do? I did make it complicated. It's like that big thing again we're looking for. I've always knew that I was a speaker. I joined Toastmasters like 20 years ago. For 7 years, I was part of it. I became the president of a club. I founded one club just because I wanted to learn public speaking. And I was completely tongue-tied and shy and self-conscious. I wasn't going anywhere with this. Now, today, it's serving me as I speak here. But back then, it was more like, I need to practice public speaking. I want to step and not be so shy and so ridden by anxiety when I'm speaking in front of people. When I became the training director, there were two things. I knew nothing about banking and I knew nothing about training. How do you pull that off, right? I was good at interviewing and I had my coaching business and I was able to sell myself. And the reason I wanted to have that job was because I knew I could teach and I knew I could speak. And I knew that I can design training and be that person that can stand in front of a room and teach people. And I wanted to be given that opportunity. And it did happen. It lasted 6 years. So now this is how I see this as weaving. Our passion and our mission are not something that will be unfolded like a big, it's not like a big buffet, like a big meal that just is like, oh, all of a sudden we have this huge meal, Thanksgiving meal on the table, and hey, we just sit and eat. No, we have to learn to cook. And it's one thing at a time. And sometimes even mashed potatoes can be complicated. Or anything simple has to be learned. And that's really what this is. Like your mission is something that will unfold. It's like knitting. You can't have the sweater done until you start. I did one sweater. That's it. That's all I did in my life. But it's like one row at a time. You can't have a sweater in 1 hour, right? You have to learn to knit. You have to have the patience and go through it. So that's what mission and vision, that's how they get connected. It's one step at a time. And then values will lead your choices. And what I mean by values, it used to be a time where it was really complicated, but values is that thing that lights you up. Like I did at some point, my list of top five values. And that job that I got in the banking industry, my top value was freedom. Now you would think working for a bank doesn't have a lot of freedom. It was the opposite. I was the creator. I had a business and now I stepped into a job that did not exist. They asked me to create a training department. And I did. And that was my thing. Freedom, number one. Give me the freedom, the free reign to create something and I can drive it home. I will make it happen, right? So values, freedom, patience, whatever that is for you, love, compassion, making a difference in the world, joy, creativity, financial reward, all of it. These are values. So choose your values because they will influence your choices. Now, again, why doing all this, right? Why? Because this is life enhancing. Life flows through us. If we do something that is soul sucking, we drain. It's that simple. We either fulfill, get full, and fill ourselves up, or we drain. And that's also what causes illness. And because the heart center, breast cancer, heart chakra, heart center is connected to that sense of being and having a sense of purpose. It's all in the heart. It is important to line up with what lights you up. Right? Make this fire in your heart and your belly and your mind line up. Go for it. One step at a time. That's all there is to it. And then, how do we implement this? I mean, I have this. I said, have the courage to follow your heart. So now, oops, sorry. Oops, hold on. I'm missing something. Uh-oh. All right, I'll talk about it and then we'll get to it. Surrounding yourself with other people, like these two awesome powerhouses with me, Melissa and Barbara, and then I believe Nisreen is there too, really is my support system. I am so lit up to know that they're going to be here today. I'm doing this, right? It's like, I know you guys are there. You have my back. And I say, guys, I mean gals, ladies, women, you have my back and I have your back too. We're in it together. So be surrounded with other people who share your passion, who share your excitement, who share your vision. You know, we all happen to believe that we actually want to create something and we have something to share with the world, and we're supporting one another in doing this. So, poverty of the heart is about withholding your gifts, withholding your talents, and withholding your connection to others. So it is important to have that sense of mission connected to other people. I am guilty of having been someone who lived in isolation. I'm an introvert, hard to believe, right? And I literally did not want to be telling people. My first breast cancer diagnosis, I think I told two, I say two, but it's three people. I didn't want to tell people. I was embarrassed. How could I? Me, the person who had practiced yoga for 20 years, exercised every day, ate organic food, knew how to meditate, had done a lot of emotional processing, there I was, right? So you can live a diagnosis with shame and withdraw, and that does not help. It is not life enhancing. It is life sucking. Reaching out to other people and really surrounding with people that can believe in the power of possibilities is what I'm talking about here. So remembering your mission is also surrounding yourself with other people who see in you what you want and say, yeah, you can. You have that power within you. That's what it is. That's what it means. All right, I'm going to stop here again, just sharing of the slide, and open the place. Oh my God, it's 12:57. Oh, well. Okay, so we're going to spend another 5 minutes and then we'll wrap this up. So, dear friends, what would you like to share or add to this? Anything? Barbara, Melissa, Nisreen, you're in the background. Yes, no, maybe. Okay.
Well, I can say, Chantal, when you were talking about this being a retreat, 1 hour a day for 3 days, it has really been a retreat.
Oh.
And it's just the way of looking at, and you're right, we're all in remission. So for those of us, like there's things that we have in our life that are scary, and to just take the practical tips that you've provided through this. And you were just saying right now, like surround yourself with people that you want, that can hold the space for you. And that's where the power is. I've never heard poverty of the heart before. Oh, tears. So that's where the power is, to bring the people into your circle, to create, that's where the freedom is, to create what you want in life, what you were born to do. We read all of the books that say, like, what are the 5 regrets of the, that's, what's her name from Australia, Bronnie, the 5 regrets of the dying. Like, we all have the same regrets. And so now we're at this point where, what do we want with our life? And who do we want to help us get across that line? Because it takes more than just doing it by ourselves. When you said about being an introvert, absolutely. So let's come together. Let's share our energy, our heart flow, and let's do this. So yeah, thank you for the retreat from the past 3 days, because it really has been.
Thank you, Barbara. Thank you for being there.
Yeah.
Anything, Melissa? You want to?
Yeah, I mean, I echo her. This has been fantastic. And I'd say the one thing that I would add that's so important, it's something that I discovered in my own experiences. I used to quietly keep everything in until it started exploding out. And as that was happening and I really opened into my process, one of the most powerful things that I've learned is about being completely transparent. Now, we're all at different levels of comfort with that, but I find that the more that I openly share my raw, open process, the more quickly that processing happens. And I think it's part of that, what you were saying, that the poverty of the heart, that withholding, that's part of the withholding. Because if you're not fully being transparent about the experience that you're happening at the level that you're comfortable with, then there's something that you're ashamed of, or you're not allowing it to be seen. My teacher, it's very interesting, Grandmaster Lou, in his office in New York, and now you may not notice this at first, but the walls do not go up to the ceiling in his office, and he always leaves the door open. And part of that reason is, like, when you're really ready to step into that spiritual level of healing, you got to open it up. You have to be willing. We're not going to do this behind closed doors and it's all, so the more open you are, the more quickly that transformation can happen. And that can feel really, really scary. And that's the beauty of not being able, but creating these conscious communities of connection and support. So, we're in this experience, sharing together in a safe space. So that's what, each of us are creating in our practices and in our little Facebook groups. And that's like, the more that we create that within and then connect our circles together, it just expands and expands and expands, right? So when we expand infinitely, what's possible, right?
That's awesome.
So good.
Thank you for sharing this, and especially about the open door and the walls that are going beyond the ceiling, because the ego, and I'm back to that sense of contraction. The ego wants to hold on to what it knows, and the ego wants to choke every possibility for expansion. And I'm saying this because that's what happened to me when I was holding myself in the back there, in the front office, in the back office, in the business. I was literally listening to my ego that said, well, you're not enough and you're not worthy and you shouldn't be showing this and blah, blah, blah. And that really was a lie. So when it is scary, it's kind of like the walls are shaking when we choose to go deeper and wider, that deep inner wisdom that says, keep going, keep going, keep going. And you're like, oh, I don't want to go. I don't want to go. And that's what living our mission is like, I don't know how much time I have. None of us do, right? And I know for the time I have right now, I want to make the best of it. This is it. I got nothing to lose. Throw it all out and just go for it. And I think for all of us, for some reason, I'm very stubborn would be a good word. Determined, another word. So, and what I mean by this is I was really determined to stay in my own way, control everything. And now this time around, I'm like, whoa, wait a second. Can't, don't want to anymore. Let it go. And that's what living in remission to me means. It's like, I don't know what tomorrow is, but I know that today I have the wheels in my hands and I can make choices. And those choices are led with my heart. So thank you both, both for being here. And I want to share one more time because there's one more thing that I actually would like to say. Okay, so the review, blah, blah, blah. So yes, a breakthrough session. I'm not sure who's watching this. I just know that if you spend 45 minutes with me, you will get at the end of that session that clear sense of knowing what you want. You will feel energized about taking the steps to make it happen. And you will literally get in motion. And I want to give you just a quick story. I know at some point I had a friend and I never coach friends. And I said to her, she was completely desperate. She was like, she hated her job. She did not, she was sick. Actually, she was having an injury, had no money coming in. And we were walking in the woods. It was a rainy day. And she kept sort of going into this thing. Oh my God, I don't know what I want to do, blah, blah, blah. And I said, that's not true. You do know what you want. I said to her, give me 1 hour. I will not do this forever. I'm just going to say to you, give me 1 hour. And I guarantee you by the end of the hour, you're going to know what you want. And that happened. It did. I am that certain about, it's not me knowing, it's me guiding that process of writing and wanting to go through your heart and getting the answer out so that you can hear it. So she actually knew what she wanted to do and then got trained. She became a volunteer for an organization. And then that got her to get trained into something else that got bigger. And now she is the manager of a program. Now, mind you, this is someone who did not have, she had a high school education, but she was so clear when she got that connection and she saw the path ahead, her heart lit up and she kept taking the next step. Now we're 3 years later and she is managing a program for men who actually abuse women. She's the only woman in that organization. And that's what she wanted to do. She just needed somebody to hear her. So I just want to say, I hold the container. I hold the space to hear what you want and really make you hear what you want. So this is what a breakthrough session is like. So yes to my life academy. Wait, hold on. This is all like, it's at the bottom. Yes to mylifeacademy.com. On the home page, you will see the link to the calendar. Now, it takes community. We just talked about it, right? What is it called? Community is currency. I think that's what Sage says, right? Something like that. And basically, how do we feel supported? We're surrounding one another. That group, I have a Facebook group, and it's called Healing Sanctuary. And I'm going to change it again. I think it's going to be called Healing Journey, because I really feel like a journey is really what we're on. And that's what I'm hoping to create. And when I say hoping to create, I mean, I believe in the power of possibilities. Maybe you hear it, maybe you feel it as I'm talking, but I believe that it's important to surround ourselves with other women who have the same belief. In the medical world, the breast cancer world, or the cancer world, the big C, it's like doom and gloom. There are the support groups, and I'm not putting anybody down, where the focus is on, I'm going to say poor me, victim mentality. And not to say or diminish that this exists. It has been part of my experience. I did feel that. And at the same time, how we elevate from there is really the choice we have. And that's what Healing Sanctuary, the group page, a page that I created on Facebook, is about. So I'm inviting you to join in if you have not, and if you're listening to this and are not part of it, because I'm going to post this also on my business, my coaching page. And then contest number 3, radical hope. Even if you don't have cancer, there's not only cancer stories, and there's stories of people having overcome other kind of diagnoses that were pretty intense. And that is about following what we looked at yesterday, the 10 principles of health and mental mindset shifts and spirituality, following your intuition, and all of this. I named the 10 factors yesterday. So I'm giving that book away. If you're listening to this, go post something. And the post, hold on a second. It's funny how this thing is like, how do I move this? Okay, here we go. Post one joyful activity you want to include in your life. It's not that complicated, just something that brings joy to your heart. That's what this is, okay? Contest number 3. Now, if you get this, 3 posts, you can backtrack. I'm going to leave this on for an entire week, okay? You can post for one day, day number 1, day number 2, day number 3. You listen, you watch the videos, you go, oh, I have one thing. Just go ahead and post it. Because then, you know what? Oops. It was a thank you. You get to have a month of free coaching with me. 4 sessions, not just 1, 4. The value is $500. So that's it. If you listen to this and you are so inclined to have that moment with yourself, as I hold the space for you, go ahead and play in that contest. So one more thing, I want to say thank you again. I'm repeating. I'm thanking Melissa and Barbara for being there. I know that this takes time in your day, in your life. You being on vacation, Melissa, with your kids at the beach. Yeah, she is there with her bathing suit on. And Barbara, I saw your significant other walking behind us weekend, and you're still holding that space for us to be there together. So thank you. In the midst of your busy lives, you made time for this. And Nisreen, I know you've been there in the background, and other women have been there and probably maybe there again listening. Thank you for taking the time. She said, it's been 3 very inspiring days. Thank you for inspiring me to open my heart. Nisreen, you are welcome. Thank you for being here. And I know that you're walking a parallel path. So I invite you to, contact me or connect with me. That's why I reached out to you. And any women that have this issue or dealing with a breast cancer diagnosis, it's scary. It can be drowning, overwhelming, and yet it doesn't have to be a death sentence. It could be a life breakthrough. So again, thank you. Any last words? Oh, go to Melissa's page. Okay, Barbara's page is Sisters Rocking Courage. This is her group. And Melissa is, go ahead, Melissa, pitch yourself, girl.
Wellness lies within.
All right, and Melissa is a doctor and an acupuncturist. So she did a 5-day, 5 ways to boost your immune system. I think it's posted on the website. You can go back and listen to the replays because it was powerful. I listened to it. So she's really there about supporting and enhancing the whole being to be healthy. So both of you, thank you so much for being here. Yay!
Thank you. Congratulations.
Thank you. I know we're at the end. This is, a retreat. There you go. Moving on, moving forward. Don't forget, Yes to My Life Academy, breakthrough session, play the contest. You can win. Bye.